Hey, what's going on guys? FPL Yusuf here. Welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel where today we're going to be looking ahead of match day 6, the semi-finals of the Euros. We're going to be going through our transfer targets. We're going to go through all positions from goalkeeper all the way to forwards. We're going to look at who the best possible players are, who have the higher upside, and also who's got the best chance of going through into the final as well. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, welcome back guys to another video on my YouTube channel. Like I said in the intro, today we're going to be going over our transfer targets ahead of match day 6 and the semi-finals of the Euros. We're going to just do a quick little recap of how my team got on in the past game week. We finished off on 54 points, which puts us 93k in the world. So we're not doing too bad. The defense was coming in clutch this week, big time. As you can see, returns from Saliba, Koundé, Cancelo, and of course Stefan de Vrij right at the end of the week, coming in big for us with a 12-point haul, obviously getting himself a goal. A little bit disappointed with the midfield and especially the forwards. You know, Harry Kane on my captaincy didn't work out at all, unfortunately. But yeah, all in all, we've had a really good tournament so far. You know, we're on 54 points from the last game week, and like I said, it puts us to 308 points overall, and that's 93,000 in the world. So the aim is obviously the last 2 weeks to try and finish inside the top 50k if we can. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get straight into it, and hopefully these transfer targets can help us try and do that. Okay, so I'm not going to put goalkeepers as a part of this because we're at the stage now where there's only a handful of keepers you can pick from, and they don't really have any massive upside to them. But if you had to ask my honest opinion, I'd say Maignan and Pickford, one from each fixture, would be a good start and a good way to go. But yeah, keepers we won't really cover too much in this video. But defenders is a big talking point, and we are going to talk about it. So number one, my favorite. Top of my list on the defenders, and it's actually a duo. I can't pick between them. It is from France, and they're Saliba and Koundé. Now, I've had both of them for a while now, and they've returned every single week. They've been absolutely fantastic. Despite France not playing that well, them two have been returning consistently with points. And it was just too much of a difficult choice to pick between them. Plus, I wanted to get another sort of differential pick in there, so I coupled these two together. And yeah, I think if you want to chip this week, a wild card or a limitless, I personally will go for both of them. I think if you're not and you're just only making free transfers and you're looking to bring one of them in, it is a hard one. A part of me would have said Saliba. I'd probably go for Koundé now just because he has that little bit of upside with the assist threat. But his ball recovery numbers are ridiculous as well for him playing right back. So yeah, for me, Saliba and Koundé are going to come in at number one. Very close between them. But if I had to pick one, I would just about edge Koundé. Okay, number two is going to be Mark Guéhi from England. Now, England have been sort of hit and miss this tournament. The one thing they have been consistent with is their defence. And they haven't really given up that many clear-cut chances. Again, he was obviously suspended in the last game against Switzerland. He is back now from suspension, and I think he will just come straight back into the side. Konsa didn't really do anything too wrong, but I think Guéhi's just probably been England's player of the tournament so far, if I'm being honest with you. So, yeah, I think Guéhi, for me, number two, he's got a very high chance of ball recoveries. I mean, the way England play, it kind of lets the centre-backs have a lot more impact on the game. So I think for me personally, out of all the England defenders, if there was one I was going to go for, it would be Mark Guéhi. So he's going to be at number two on my list. And the third choice at number three is going to be Marc Cucurella from Spain. Now, Spain, it was a difficult one because Spain obviously going to be missing Dani Carvajal and Lenormand from their team. They're both out with suspensions, which does affect them. It does make them a little bit weaker in defence, despite them probably being the best defence this tournament, actually. But I've gone for Cucurella. He's had a very solid tournament so far. Played very well, you know, consistently starting at the left back spot as well, which is, you know, when you're picking players, it's obviously what you want. You want a starter in there. And also, it's a little bit something different because I could have gone for another England defender, you know, Kyle Walker or John Stones, but I also wanted to give a different side of things, a different perspective. And I do think France and England will be the teams to advance. However, I think if there's any one that could be a quote unquote upset, it would be Spain because they have been the best team in the tournament so far. So yeah, Marc Cucurella is going to come in at number three. So that is our top three defenders. Let's move straight into the midfielders. Okay, so top midfielders. Now, this is where things get a little bit tricky. I was going to do the same thing I did with France in the defence and double up on the first with Bellingham and Saka. However, I'm not going to do that. I am going to put Bukayo Saka as my number one. Now, I do think that he, obviously, the way he's playing now, if Gareth Southgate does continue with a wing-back spot, it does push him back a little bit, but that whole Switzerland game, every time he got the ball, he looked so positive. He looked like he was going to create something. He was taking the defender inside, outside, and obviously did come up with a goal, which obviously drew England level and took him into extra time, which ultimately they won on penalties with Saka scoring one. But he's just such a key influence to how England play. And I think if Saka plays well, there's always a good chance that England are going to do well. So yeah, for me, Bukayo Saka is going to go in at number one. The number two spot's going to be a little bit different, and it's going to be a Spanish midfielder. It's going to be Dani Olmo. Now, I was contemplating between him and Nico Williams. However, Dani Olmo, for me, in the last sort of 2-3 games, has looked like he's been banging form. obviously returned last week with a goal and assist against Germany, which obviously saw Spain through into the semi-finals. Like I said, I don't know how Spain will play with their defensive frailties. Obviously, they're going to have cover in there. But I think the one thing certain is that Dani Olmo has even got more of a chance to play now that Morata's out as well with suspension. So there is a possibility that he might play as a false nine. So I'm going to pick him as number 2. Something a little bit different. Obviously, France with the midfielders, there's not really many options there. And the third and final player, as you guys can see on screen, is going to be Jude Bellingham. I did look through the Dutch midfielders. There was no one that really stood out for me more than what Bellingham is for England. I think if England are drawing the game or they're losing, Bellingham will stay on the pitch. If they go extra time, he probably will play all the way through unless England are winning. They might take him off just to try and shore up the team. But I think more often than not, you'll see Bellingham carry on playing. He has that X factor. He has that star factor where he can just turn it on at any moment and he can come up with the goods. So yeah, for me, Bukayo Saka in at number 1. We're going for Dani Olmo number 2, and then another Englishman, Jude Bellingham, in at number 3. That is our midfielders. Let's move straight on to the forwards. Forwards, there's not really many options here, if I'm being truthfully honest with you. I think there's four strikers which people will look at for kind of 3 spots on my list. So number 1 is going to be Kylian Mbappe. Despite him not having the best tournament so far, he is the best player at the tournament. He's the best player in the world, arguably for some. And I think if France are going to get through the Spain game, they're going to need him. Now, the reason why I put Mbappe first is because, as I said, Carvajal is out suspended, which probably means Jesus Navas is going to come in at right back. Now, Jesus Navas at 38, I don't know how he's going to match up with Mbappe. Despite Mbappe not being in the best of form, he is so quick, so hard to deal with. And I think all it takes is a game like this for him to find his feet and to find his goal scoring form. So for me, Kylian Mbappe is going to be number 1 and probably will be my captain going into this game week. Number 2 is someone who maybe not a lot of people were looking at the start of the tournament, but now I think as it's progressed, you can see how he's ticking over nicely, and that is Lamine Yamal from Spain. Now, like I said, the one thing about Spain is they've been playing very good football, and their front 3 haven't really changed as much. Nico Williams on the left, Lamine Yamal on the right, and Morata through the centre. Now, obviously, Morata is suspended for this game, which does give someone else a chance. It could be Oyarzabal, it could be Olmo at the false 9, who knows? But the one thing that is for sure is that Lamine Yamal will be playing. And he has ticked over quite nicely. I've owned him for a few weeks now. It's never really the big 8, 9, 10s, but it's always a 4, 5, 6, 7, which, in the grand scheme of things, you can't really ask for much more. He's 6.5 million. I don't think anyone expected Spain to be to go as far in the competition as they have done. So yeah, for me, I'm going to put Lamau in at number 2, followed closely by number 3, Cody Gakpo. Now, as you guys can see on the screen, there is no Harry Kane in this, which we're going to touch on in a minute, but I think Gakpo deserves his plaudits. He's been Netherlands' best player at this tournament. He's been very good, very consistent, and it's ticking over nicely, and it's probably the biggest reason why they have got this far is because of him. I know there's a lot of questions been asked around him, especially with his form at Liverpool. He's kind of never really been a consistent run, but I think now he's slowly finding it in this Netherlands side, and I think he will be a problem for England. I think if England aren't on it and they're not switched on, there's always a chance that that he could catch them out. Now, as I said, there is no Harry Kane in this team. I just think for me, Harry Kane has been a shadow of himself this tournament. I think he looks slow, he looks lethargic, he doesn't look fit to me, or he doesn't look like what England need in this team. It'd be so low that he goes and scores now. The one week I say don't get him. But for me, I just think that the other 3 on this list offer much more to their own individual teams, respectively, than maybe Kane does with England. I think there is also an argument to be made that maybe Ollie Watkins or Ivan Toney should be starting ahead of Harry Kane. So for me, it's a lot of money to try and bring in. Not that money's really a big issue right now, but I just felt that the other 3 for me just had that little bit more impetus for their own nations, and there's more of a chance of them doing something for their own country. Whereas I think Harry Kane, I don't know if he's really getting to the right position. So for me, yeah, he's not going to make this top 3. And yeah, we're going to just stick with that for now. Okay, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. I will be back tomorrow before the game kicks off. So the first semi-final, obviously France versus Spain, does start tomorrow, being Tuesday at 8 o'clock UK time. I will get the video up before then, and it's going to be a final team selection video where I go over my full team. And yeah, I have activated my wildcard this week. The team's probably going to be 97% of what it was in my wildcard draft, if you have seen that. There may be one change with Walker and Teo Hernandez, maybe another one possibly with the goalkeepers, but I think for the majority of part of it, it will stay as it is. But yeah, like I said, video will be out tomorrow. I'm going to get this one up today, Monday, and then yeah, Tuesday will follow with the final team selection. So yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, don't forget to drop a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.